Okay, something I forgot to include in the previous video is las construcciones reflexivas, which we already did a review last week, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here, but this is something that we have that is very, very common in Spanish and not common in English nearly as much. Okay, las construcciones reflexivas, to talk about daily routines. Okay, and this would be the equivalent of, you know, myself, yourself, himself, etc., except that it is used a little differently in Spanish. For example, if we look at these at these pictures here, we have to look at who is doing the action and who is receiving the action. Okay, so for example, in this picture right here, we have la fiesta los despierta. Okay, so we have la fiesta y los despierta. So the ones that are doing the action and the ones receiving the action are two different groups of people. Okay, so they're not the same. Or here, Alberto la acuesta. So Alberto puts her to bed. So one doing the action and the one receiving the action are different. O Beatriz lo lava. Beatriz lava el auto. Beatriz lo lava. But here is different, okay? We have Raúl y Gloria se despiertan. So they are both doing the action and receiving the action. This would be, you know, they wake themselves up, I guess that would be. So sometimes it's not as easy to detect which ones are reflexive because we don't use them that way in English, okay? We don't say I wake myself up. We say I wake up, okay? But in Spanish it is reflexive. Or here, Alberto se acuesta. So he's both doing the action and receiving the action. Y Beatriz se lava. She is the one doing the action and she's doing it to herself. Okay, so that's when we use reflexive verbs. Okay, so when we want to, replace the nouns that we are using, okay, the whoever is receiving the action, we can replace them with a pronoun. Okay, for yo is going to be me, for tú is going to be te, usted, and él y ella se, for nosotros nos, vosotros os, ustedes, ellos y ellas se. Yo me divierto, tú te diviertes, usted se lava, él, ella se despierta. Okay, okay, muy bien. So the same rules apply to these pronouns as the same rules that we have for direct object and indirect object. Okay, so regarding where we put these pronouns, okay, the position of the pronouns. So they either precede a conjugated verb or they can be attached to an infinitive or a present participle. Okay, te vas a dormir o vas a dormirte. Okay, muy bien. Okay, so we're gonna go to the next page here. I think there's more or not. I'm not sure. Okay, so here are some examples of daily routines that are reflexive verbs. Okay, so the way that you can detect when a verb is reflexive is when you look it up in the dictionary, and you're always going to find the verbs in the infinitive form, and the infinitive ends in se. In se, you know that's a reflexive verb. For example, secarse, peinarse, maquillarse, vestirse. Okay, so when the verb ends in se, with the pronoun se at the end, and it's an infinitive verb, you know that these are reflexive. Okay, acostarse, afeitarse, bañarse, cepillarse, etc. Okay, and here you have a list of more reflexive verbs. Okay, acordarse de, to remember something, arreglarse, callarse, divertirse, etc. Okay, muy bien. So we reviewed these in the last chapter. So you can do the activities in My Spanish Lab, and here is one. You have to fill in with the appropriate pronouns, direct object or indirect object or reflexive pronoun. Okay, so do your activities in My Spanish Lab to practice with this. Okay, muy bien. Chao, chao.